Welcome. In this explainer, we're going to dive into a fascinating new study about a super powerful compound found in a vegetable you probably actually have in your fridge right now. So let's get right into it. We're going to explore some new research that asks this exact question, really focusing on the link between our diet, obesity, and type 2 diabetes. And believe it or not, the answer might just be hiding in a humble broccoli stalk. Okay, but first, to really get why this research is such a big deal, we need to set the stage a little bit and look at the sheer scale of the problem these scientists are trying to tackle. Yeah, this is not a small problem we're talking about. It's a huge public health challenge. The study really makes it clear that obesity is a major driver behind something called insulin resistance, which is a key step on the path to developing type 2 diabetes. Just look at that number, 537 million. That's a massive, massive figure. It's how many people around the world have been diagnosed with diabetes. And what's truly staggering is that this number has nearly quadrupled just since 1980. This is the global health crisis we're talking about. Okay, so where does broccoli come into all this? Well, let's zoom in on the real star of our story, a bioactive molecule with a pretty interesting name. So this is the compound the scientists were looking at, sulforaphane, or SFN for short. Basically, when you eat these kinds of veggies, your body takes a compound that's already in there and cleverly converts it into SFN. So the first big question the researchers wanted to answer was all about prevention. Could giving mice SFN actually stop some of the negative metabolic effects of a high-fat diet before they even get started? So what they did was pretty straightforward. They took some young male mice and put them on a high-fat diet for 20 weeks. One group just got that diet, but the other group, they got the exact same diet, just with SFN added in. And what they found was actually pretty striking. The group that got the SFN showed some really significant metabolic benefits compared to the group that didn't. Let's actually break down the numbers. The mice getting that sulforaphane, they had over 6% less body fat buildup compared to the mice on the high-fat diet alone. That's a pretty big difference just from adding this one single compound. But that's not all. There was another really key finding. Take a look at their insulin sensitivity. That's how well their bodies respond to insulin to control blood sugar. It improved by nearly 24%. And just so we're clear, when we're talking about insulin, higher sensitivity is exactly what you want to see. And you know what? It wasn't just the young mice that saw these benefits. They ran a similar experiment on middle-aged mice, and yep, SFN improved their glucose tolerance, their insulin sensitivity, and get this, it even dropped their blood cholesterol by over 25%. All right, so that's prevention. But what about treatment? The researchers then asked a different, and you could argue, an even more important question. What if the mice were already obese? Could SFN still help? And this is a really big deal, right? It totally shifts the focus from prevention to intervention. It's one thing to stop a problem from happening in the first place, but it's a whole other ballgame to see if you can actually reverse some of the effects once they're already there. So for this part of the study, they first fed the mice a high-fat diet until they became obese. Then, for 30 days, they started giving them SFN to see if it could help treat the obesity they'd already developed. And the results? Yeah, they were positive pretty much across the board. The SFN treatment actually caused them to lose weight, it improved their insulin sensitivity by almost 15%, and it significantly lowered key fats in their blood, like triglycerides and cholesterol. Okay, so we've seen SFN can help with prevention and treatment in these mice. But what does this all mean? Like, what's the big picture here? How is this one little compound actually working its magic? Well, the researchers actually looked at this at a cellular level. And what they found is that SFN basically acts like a coach for the muscle cells, telling them to get better at using fuel. It makes them take in more sugar, it rubs up their ability to burn fatty acids, and it even helps them burn another energy source called pyruvate more effectively. Okay, now here's something that's really, really important to point out. Every single one of these animal experiments we've talked about was done exclusively on male mice. So that means we can't just assume the same thing would happen in female mice, and we definitely can't apply this directly to humans, not without a whole lot more research anyway. So what's the bottom line from the researchers themselves? Well, here's their key takeaway. Based on everything they found, they think sulforaphane shows some real promise. It could potentially be used as a dietary supplement to help prevent and maybe even treat the kinds of metabolic problems that are linked to obesity. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? This study kind of suggests that some of the next big health breakthroughs might be hiding in plain sight right there in our grocery stores. It's a pretty wild thought that the answers to some of our biggest health challenges might just be waiting for us in the produce aisle.